Right, I've been making some progress on the final fitment of the wires. I have the backlight clusters heat shrink tubed up to the centre, and they're all fixed down here now with these little sticky pads that give you tie wrap mounting posts. That's the backlights done. Everything's going to come to the centre, as I was saying earlier, and it's going to fix onto this umbilical cord. That's the rear lights ready to go. The front lights are coming down the sides. I've started heat shrink tubing all the way along on both sides, but I've stopped here because I've got these extra wires coming through. I'm going to be running with the roof on the Rubicon, but I also want lights on the roof rack. So I have this connector here, and that's going to run down the roll cage. And what I did before I assembled the roll cage, I fitted some O-rings. You can, before you do this screw up, you can just slide some O-rings on. It gives you a nice way of attaching a wire onto the roll cage, and then going down through a very small hole that I've body reamed just there. I will be covering that with some black heat shrink so it won't look quite so bright. You won't really notice it much inside. That's going to allow me to put the roof on, which is going to have this roof rack on top, and connect. There's going to be a connector coming through the roof section, and then connect that in, and then pull that wire down and just have it taut here. Then if I want to, I can actually take the roof off and remove this connector and run it in kind of standard dingo style, if you like, with just the roll cage and no Rubicon solid roof. That wire for the roof rack lights is coming out just here, and that's going to have another bit of extension wire soldered onto it, and I'll heat shrink tube all of that together running to the centre. Also, what I've been doing is just thinking about waterproofing the lights. The front buckets are now stuck with glue around the edge, so they're waterproof front and the edges, so water won't get into buckets that way, but water could get in through these points, which I'll be plaster dipping up. The back ones are fine because it's all hot glued at the back and they're just LEDs there. However, the side lights, I was thinking these Axial light buckets from a light bucket kit, link in the description if you're curious. These are hollow inside, and you could get water in there that could kind of mist up or go mouldy or whatever, so I didn't want that. So what I've done is I've undone the Allen bolt fixing here, taken the LED out and put an Allen bolt through the hole there, and then popped out that lens. I've filled up the entire light bucket here with a glue that sets clear. I'm using EvoStick Serious glue, but you could use clear silicone sealant, something like that. So that was completely full up, and I've popped the lens back on. Before I put the glue on, I masked all of this off just so I didn't get any glue on the body shell. Popped that back on, which left the inside of that completely full up with clear glue. Squirted out the back a bit, pushed the LED back in and refitted. So now I've got that sealed up with glue here, and that's completely solid inside, so there's no way water's going to get in there and mist that up and make it look nasty. Also, on further paranoia, I've actually stuck strips of Lexan completely on the side of the body shell on both sides. I did notice a little scuff on each side here where the Proline floor pan rubs on the body shell, and just got me to thinking, when I'm out running with lots of vibrations on a trail, it could get a bit of chaffing. The sides of the floor pan do touch on the body shell, so even though I've got plastered it to protect it, I wanted to go a step further. So this is just spare Lexan off an old body shell. I've just cut very thin bits over the wheel arch areas and a big thick plate here. That will be plaster dipped on top, but a bit of extra body armour. Right, some soldering later, and here is the umbilical cord soldered up. These two stubs here, that's going to be the left and right indicator wires. They're going to connect onto a different connector on the model just there. I'm going to do those later because the indicators aren't working at the moment. It's the radio gear problem, but that's the rest of the umbilical cord done. That needs to be tie wrapped down. Right, so for the Proline roof rack, I'm going to be using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 LED light buckets at the front. These are Proline light buckets. Part numbers for these are in the description if you're interested. And on the back, I'm going to be using some light buckets from the Axial General light bucket set, again in the description. Now the Proline ones come already silvered. These ones I've just painted silver inside. I think it was a car wheel touch-up pen, whatever, silver, just to give it a bit more reflectivity. Now the light buckets from Proline have this nice plastic lens here. However, the black ring that holds that on is just a slide in and out friction fit. There's 4 little plastic pegs here. Well, that could pop off quite easily, and also it's not sealed up very well. The LED goes in the back, and I want to get this sealed up because having water sloshing around wouldn't be a good look. So what I've done, I've taken all of these off and put a tiny lick of glue around the edge and put them back on, and they are pretty much watertight. If I blow in the end there, I can't have any air leaking out, so that seems okay. In the back, here's the LED. That's just going to slide in there, and then that'll be plaster dipped, so hopefully we won't ever get water into those. Right, so here's the roof rack. I've got the front lights just temporarily fitted. I'm working out how long to cut the wires. And what I've had to do on these Proline light buckets, they come like this, and we've got an LED here now. Each one's a 5mm white LED with a 150 ohm resistor heat shrunk on there. They go in the back, and these little black pieces here, as you can just about see, I've had to Dremel out that area just there to actually be able to fit it on with the resistor and wires in place. There's going to be plaster dip on the back of that. So here are the front ones installed. The back ones are going to go on these light buckets, which I've got the lenses glued on now to make them waterproof at the front, and then plaster dip to the back. Right, so here's all the separate LEDs for the roof rack, all now heat shrunk up all the way along to keep the 2 wires nice and neat, and then idented at the end. Obviously different lengths. We've got the longest ones for the back, and then shorter and shorter lengths as we go from the outside to the inside front light buckets. Pleased to say I've finally got the roof rack finished. All the light buckets are wired up now with their 5mm white LEDs and 150 ohm resistors. They're all plaster dipped, and the wires run down. These ones run down the back along the sides to the front, and then all the ones at the front go down into the middle just here, and they all solder up onto a single wire that then comes out through the roof. That's going to have a connector on it to plug into the main body shell. There will be a connector that will plug in just onto that there. So I'll go down like that. Right, before I bring this video to a close and give you an overview of the lights all completely finished, just wanted to mention the last set of lights that I've done on the truck, and that's what I'm calling fog lights. It's the LEDs that go in the front bumper and the rear bumper, just over here. Now what I've done on the back, I've actually fitted some lenses in. It gives you more of a scale look. These are white lenses, and on the front you can see how they are without lenses, just the bare LEDs. Now you don't get the lenses in the Jeep Rubicon kit. I had to buy those. Now don't do what I did, which was I went off and bought this set here. You have 5 of these, and I thought, oh yeah, that's the right thing when I was looking on the internet. These are too big. These are, I think they're about 17mm. Let's just measure that for you. Yeah, these chaps are, there we go, just under 17mm in diameter. So they don't fit. The ones at the back that do fit have come from this big light bucket set that's lenses and light buckets. Not the big ones, it's the smaller ones here. These ones that are in metric, there we go, just about 11mm diameter. Now you can either obviously get these by buying this complete big light bucket set, or if you just want the lenses on their own, there is another Axial part that is just the lenses, either in yellow or white. I'll put some links in descriptions to those, but do beware, don't buy this lens set with just the 5 in a row. That's for the kind of ones that might go on maybe a roof set, not in the bumper. Let's turn this on and plug in. And switch on. Right, so here's the truck by itself, and the basic LEDs on the bumpers are controlled through a spare channel on my 6-channel radio that goes through to, in the world of black plaster dip over here, these are 2 Hey-OK LED controllers, and one of those is wired through on this channel here, so I can flick the switch, and I now have, sorry, that's the wrong one, flick it the other way rather, for fog lights, there we go. So that's now those on and off. Right, so moving up from the chassis onto the main body shell, I've got two wires here for the indicator LEDs and my main 10-pin umbilical cord, which goes up to all of the other lights. So once that's all plugged in, you can now see that if I do the steering, I've got flashing LEDs on the front, and also we've got on the side, and then on the back light clusters. You can just about see. Sorry the body shell's not on, but I'll fit that another time. So we've got turn signals. Now sometimes turn signals can be annoying when you're driving around. You don't want flashing indicators all the time. So what I've done is I've wired up a separate power wire here. This is tapping off of my roof rack lights, so I can unplug the flashing indicator signals from the 3 Racing LED controller and tap into my switched roof rack lights, so I can have the amber lights of the LED indicator positions to come on when my roof rack lights come on, kind of like a night running mode if you like. Right, so on the main headlights, these are controlled off of the Hey OK LED controller, the second one, which is in another channel on the radio. So this is if I flick my throttle switch to the side, they're coming on and off. That's front headlights going into the axial light buckets, and then on the back I've got custom LEDs fitted into the standard axial, I won't call them light buckets, but light cluster things that you put stickers on. I've drilled through and custom mounted LEDs in there. So that's the fog lights and back lights there. If I lift the truck up, sorry the body shell's not on, I'll fit that later. If I go into reverse, then we get reverse lights coming on. That's switched through the 3 Racing, that's the 3 Racing LED controller. And then finally we have brake lights. Now these central LEDs here, when you go forwards and then slam on your brake, you'll see the LED light comes on bright for a moment. And that's the 3 Racing LED controller. Oh yes, I forgot to mention interior lights here. These are running off my main headlight circuit, glowing nice and blue there. Very pleased with how that worked out. And then finally we have on the roof rack lights. Now on the roof, this is the Proline roof rack. Got some accessories on there now. Back light buckets from Axial, front light buckets from Proline. This roof rack comes with this little sort of like wind deflector that clips on the front. I've just taken it off just to show you the wiring a little bit on the front. Really fiddly, took ages, and then that comes out on a single wire that will plug in. So let's clip this deflector back on. So that will clip onto this connector on the roof. Obviously the roof needs to be screwed down. I won't do that right now. But if I, well, mind your eyes, if I flick this switch on another channel, I've now got the headlights coming on. That's through another Hey OK LED controller, and this is a dimmer one, so I can go through bright, medium, dim and off. That's useful because they are really bright and sometimes you don't want the full. And when they're on, we've got the front set, and at the back we've got the rear ones as well. Right, so all the LEDs finally wired up and finally controllable and working. I know the body shell's not on properly at the moment, and some of you are probably screaming at the screen saying, put the body shell on, I want to see it. Not just yet. I'm going to run this soon, but I need to do a couple of scale upgrades just to finish this off before I get it muddy for the first time. So in the next video we're going to be covering scale upgrades. Some of them are going to be functional things and some of them are purely decorative but make the truck look better. So watch out for that, and thank you for watching.